Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is okay. I haven't heard any really bad news about our Sangha members. We all seem to be, practicing. Last time I spoke, I talked about various aspects of practice given the situation that we're all in. And today, I want to continue doing that. I think that my experience is that when we express something one time, people hear it, but it doesn't, carry over into our life so much. So we have to say something over and over again in order for it to really penetrate our psyche and our practice. So I'm going to go over some of these points again, I think. maybe they're different points, or at least remind us of how we practice during this particular time. And I also would like to have questions. I won't talk too long, and if I would like to hear questions. I would rather not say, "Are there any questions?" and then fall into a deep silence, because I know everyone has some questions. I mean, I think they do. We do. So anyway, when I think about this, our situation, it reminds me of these two terms, Gyoji and Dokkan. I talked about these a couple of years ago. Gyoji, Japanese term, Buddhist term actually, meaning continuous practice. Gyoji. Dogen talks about Gyoji a lot. That and Suzuki Roshi talks about it a lot without mentioning the name. Dokkan is like a ring, the ring of the way, and it's sometimes called way ring. It means that the aspects of Gyoji, the actual rhythm of our practice, which is continuous. So to set up the rhythm is so important. I easily lose the rhythm. I always think of everything as practice anyway. I always keep my attention on my breath. And when my mind gets kind of loose, I come back to breathing. And breathing is always deep breathing. Abdominal breathing is always in the background of my actions. I really deeply breathing, meaning full breath, which goes beyond your chest and into your lower abdomen. It feels like your abdomen, but actually it's the bottom of your lungs, so that you have a full breath. Always. People say, well, I don't know if I can do that always. I do it sometimes. But actually, always. That's good. That's a basis of continuous practice. In Zazen, we prime our breath. We come in from our busy life and sit down. And in our busy life, we're not so aware of our breathing, where our breath extends to, and where at the bottom of the breath is. It's the rising and falling of your lower abdomen. That's why it feels like it's there. It's really your lungs, but you feel when you inhale, your abdomen expands, and when you exhale, it contracts. And when I say priming, if you're mind is very busy, and you feel some anxiety and um, uh, um, we're caught up in our mental constructions, to stop and prime our breath by taking a big breath like this, and actually, like, when you take the breath, it's like a tire. Your waist is like a tire. Oh, there's a tire around your waist. And you take the breath, and the tire expands. It's more like an inner tube. And it expands, and you fill your lungs, and then you let all the breath out, and your tummy, and your backbone meet, so that all the breath is expressed out. And then another breath in, and out. And do that 3 times. Yeah, just normal breathing through your nose. That settles your body, it settles your mind, it settles your emotions and your feelings. And then you start again. So taking these pauses is really important. But if I learned how to do this through the pain of Zazen. This is why I always I think everybody needs to go through the painful rite of passage of painful legs. Because during sessions, went back in the 60s and 70s, I had so much pain. I've been through all the difficulties that everybody's been through. It's not like people look at me and say, "Oh, you never had any problems about them." You just jump off the top and blah blah blah. But that's not true. I went through lots and lots of difficulty and pain, and what saved me was breath. God didn't work. Buddha didn't work. Calling on all the verities doesn't work. Just makes things worse. The only thing that worked, that carried me through and worked, was breathing, one breath at a time. You can't stay. You get to the point where you can't stay and you can't leave. That's the koan of Zazen. You can't stay and you can't leave. What do you do? So I was forced to one breath at a time. My whole body, mind was focused on each breath, and each breath covered the whole world. And then eventually I got to the point where I didn't need to be caught by the pain and the difficulty. Instead of fighting the pain or whatever, to simply merge into it so that it's no longer what you think it is. So this is the secret of our practice, is to be one with our activity, not to fight it or try to escape from difficulties. This is how we learn not to escape from difficulties, but how to open to the difficulty so that it's no longer a problem. And I can't tell you how to do that. Each one of us has to find out how to do that ourselves. So I can remember my teacher, Sojun Roshi, saying, "Just be one with the difficulty. Just be one." Yeah. How do I do that? How do I do that? And then suddenly it all opened up. And I remember running back to the Zendo and bowing down to my teacher. That's what I felt I wanted to do. I didn't actually do that. I did it in my mind. So practice becomes easier and easier for me. What I don't have pain in my legs. I mean, what other people would think of as pain in their legs, I have. But to me, it's not pain or anything. It's just some sensation that I have. I don't hold on to it. I remember Sojun Roshi talking about when you're up in a tree and you fall from the tree, we should have the presence of mind to be able to find the branch. So how we maintain our presence of mind through every situation and not get caught is really important. This is called freedom, total freedom. So when I sit down for Zazen, a little stiffness in the beginning, and then there's a little tingling in my but I just open up to it. And I do not, if you grab onto anything, it has you. Whatever we pick up, I have this cup, but actually this cup has me as well. So how do I become one with the cup so that there's no space, there's no distance, even though there is distance, like 10 inches or something. That's not the bit distance I'm talking about. There's no separation. The cup is the cup, I'm me, but I am the cup, and the cup is me, and the cup is telling me something, it's telling me how to hold it so it doesn't drop. So everything is communicating with me. Everything I pick up or touch is saying something to me about how to relate to it. So the pain in the legs is telling you how to relate to it. If you don't listen, it wins, takes you over. So each one of us is teaching each one of us how to act together. When I'm relating to you, you're teaching me how to relate to you. And I have to pick up how to do that. It's not like I just have some idea in my mind about who you are. I just forget about who you are. I just have my mind totally open. When we have Dokusan, my mind is totally open. I'm not thinking, oh, this is so-and-so, and they're like this, and I know what to expect. I think all expectations are out the window. I've been editing Sojun Roshi's lectures for a new book, and as I go through them, they're all saying the same thing. All of the talks. Don't be selfish. That's his whole message. Don't be selfish. And to approach each thing as if you had no idea what it is, so that you can actually see what it is. He talks about wabi and sabi, which means something like, various things to various people. I'll say that. I don't want to explain it because I don't understand it that well. But for him, wabi sabi means just letting go of all your ideas. And when you see a drop of water on a branch of a tree, you just see it just as it is. and it contains the whole universe. So we can actually enjoy our difficulty. That's the key. Everything is a challenge. I remember Master Hua back there in the 50s, 60s, Chinese master. We used to visit him once in a while, me and my friends. And his saying was, one of the things that I remember him saying was, everything is a test to see what you will do. That's practice. Everything is a test to see what you do. If you see that as practice, then you're not stuck somewhere. How do I deal with this test instead of, oh my God, the sky is falling. Sky is falling. But how do we just let it fall? Let it do its thing. And how do we dance with it? As someone, I remember seeing a bumper sticker once that said, instead of putting on your raincoat, just take off your clothes and dance in the rain. That's pretty difficult, but you get the picture. Anyway, I wrote a bunch of notes last night, and that was the beginning of what I was talking about, Gyojin and Dokan, continuous practice. So what Sojun Roshi was talking about always, and that this is always one of the main themes of his talks, is practice is simply your life. How do you live your life without being caught by it? We always talk about freedom. The United States is the land of the free. You have to earn it. The whole world is the land of the free, but not by legislation. Legislation won't do it. Actually, our country has been taken over by the fascists again. Ronald Reagan started it. Ronald Reagan and Ayn Rand, as you may remember, when selfishness is virtue. And that whole idea has been building up ever since, until we get Mr. Trump, the paragon of selfish virtue. And all those people who want to follow in those footsteps. So I also had a thought about, how difficult it is. All the stores are closed. You want to get a pair of socks. Where do the kind of socks you like. Where do you go? So there's a kind of deprivation. But when I think of the deprivation, I think of the refugees all over the world. This is predictable. There would be, in the 21st century, would be migrations, enormous migrations. And that's what's happening right now. And the heroics, the real heroics are among the refugees. We have a hard time getting toilet paper. There's a big complaint about, where's the toilet paper? But if you're a refugee, where's the toilet paper? If you're a refugee, where's the food? Where's the bedding? How do you take care of your kids on a long march? It's like incredible, totally incredible. And all the resistance, everybody protecting their space from invasion of refugees. And uh, the real people, the people who benefit the most, of course, are the wealthy. I don't want to go into politics, but life is political, so you can't help it. But those who make the biggest profits are the arms manufacturers. The arms manufacturers have people who go in and turn divide countries and societies against each other, and then supply the guns and ammunition that they all use against each other. It's always been thus. During the Civil War, there are all these war profiteers who made munitions so that the South and North could continue fighting and killing each other. And then they all needed their weapons. So, someone in a jungle someplace, who's brought up in a jungle someplace, and lives hand to mouth, somehow gets an expensive firearm. How did that work? Who pays for that? Anyway, so the world is really in a chaotic place today. And how we maintain our equilibrium, how we maintain our practice, how we maintain our state of mind in all this chaos is called our practice. How to remain upright, how to remain stable and balanced, and not get, caught by too much by our emotions. Like, I have raging emotions which pass through me constantly. Constantly raging emotions against the way things are, against this one and that one. But I'm always grounded in my practice. And I know I have what I have to do. And I know that I can't, I can influence my surroundings, which I do. But the world goes on as it goes. And you put out a fire over here, and then a fire starts over here. And then you go over here to put out this fire, and the fire starts over here. So there are always fires that are always going on, and you can't put them all out. And if you despair, you go crazy. So just taking care of our own world, our own surroundings, has a big effect on the world. If we lose our composure, we fall into a trap. So how to maintain our composure is our practice. We have to let all of this chaos go through us and not let it stop in us. So we're always, dealing with this day and night. So it's time to wash the dishes, time to make your dinner, time to go to sleep, time to do your job, time to whatever. And that's, we have to find our rhythm and not fall into despair. Because the world has always been like this. It's not like just now this is happening. It's always been happening. If you look back in history and look at the ancestors In Dogen's time, it was chaotic in Japan. Villages were being burned and robbers were on the highway, and it's always been like this. In one respect or another. Problem is, we are unaware, have been until the 20th century. We didn't know what was going on in other parts of the world. But it's always been going on in other parts of the world. Genghis Khan came and, reordered the world. So how we keep talking about, and so the ancestors have given us this practice. This is the way to negotiate through the world of chaos, through the Saha world, the world of suffering. Shakyamuni Buddha said, the only thing I'm teaching is suffering and how to deal with it. Sometimes called the end of suffering. But the end of suffering doesn't mean that suffering's over. It means you know how to deal with suffering. You know that suffering is not something that will overtake you. There's pain, and then there's suffering. Pain is pain, and suffering is when you don't like it, or when you don't want it. But suffering, pain is just pain. This is the secret of Zazen. Pain is just pain. It's just a sensation. We have these sensations. And when we try to escape from them, we suffer. So instead of trying to escape, to enter into, be one with. That's what be one with means, or one meaning of be one with. No non-resistance. Just let them be, and be with them. Whether we like it or don't like it. So this wabi-sabi, as Sojun Roshi did, means beyond emotion, beyond feeling, beyond intellect, just to experience something as it really is. So it's like, but things as it is. You think you understand things as it is, but until you know how to drop everything, you don't. So dropping everything means to be one with everything. To separate ourselves through emotion, feeling, and thought is called separation. Unfortunately, that's our life. We have to do that. This is the dualistic world, and we have to live in it. But we also have to, in order to be free from the suffering of this world, we have to be able to let go of it. At the same time that we are engaged with it. I wrote down all these things, but I never followed what I wrote down. So our present situation is full of pain and suffering for so many people. So in a way, I feel a little bit guilty because I don't have any of that. I mean, but somehow, I can go about my business. I can create my own rhythm. I don't have to worry about where the next meal is coming from. I mean, we are so blessed here. Our little inconvenience called the pandemic is nothing compared to what most people in the world are going through. So anyway, if you have any questions, if you have a question, please feel free to. I mean, I don't know if I can hear you, to tell you the truth.
I might adjust the volume.
We're going to try and adjust this to.
While we're adjusting the volume.
That's good.
Okay, it was my microphone was a little bit down, Sojun, so maybe other people's microphones will be good too. Please feel free to raise a hand under participants. You can raise a hand or a glass or something, and I will call on you, just like Ellen Webb did. Remember to lower your hand after you've been called on, and also mute and unmute yourself if you can go through that ritual. And again, as Sojun would like, and as I would like, please ask a question. Do not be afraid, even though this medium is weird. Or you can type a question, and I will read that question. So first, Ellen, could you lower your hand and unmute yourself and ask a question?
I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when you talk about the kind of relating to pain or emotion, can you say what dropping body and mind, how that connects to that?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's my question. You answered it.
That's it. My wife is always criticizing me, and then she'll say something, that kind of little jab, and I think, and then I think, that's just the way she is. I don't want to retaliate. Retaliation creates problems. So I think, well, maybe she's right, And then I think, what am I doing to create the situation for her to do that? Instead of she just doing something, right? But there's something I'm doing that initiates the problem that causes her to say something. So where's my part in all this? So that neutralizes the situation. I don't have to get caught with my reaction, but I'm trying to understand why that what I'm saying actually goes around and comes back to me. But I don't see how that happens. I just, react to the face instead of reacting to the travel of the problem. So, if we make an effort to see how what comes to us, how we create the environment for that to happen, it really eases the situation a lot. And instead of blaming somebody, I can look at my own my own causation, my own actions, which create that which comes to me.
Could I ask? Oh, sorry. Could I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
When you say dropping body, it sounds so dualistic to me. It doesn't. It sounds so like two things.
What are the two things?
Me and my body.
Yeah, I like that. Well, because we think of ourselves as our body. If we take it literally, then we have a problem. In Zen parlance, you have to not take things literally. You can't take any spoken word literally. So when we say body, mind, well, what does that really mean, body? It doesn't mean, my arms and legs. It means my embodiment, my presence, it could be my spiritual body, it could be my physical body, it could be my imaginative body. So drop body and mind. It's a good koan. everything is in Dogen's understanding. Dogen said our practice is called Genjo Koan. Genjo means the koan of everyday life. The koan that is presented to us moment by moment as we live our life. So dropping body and mind, it means like letting go of our preoccupation with ourselves.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Thank you.
Next up, Ben, I invite you to, and then we'll go Kurt and Joel. So next, Ben, turn off, yes, lower your hand and unmute yourself.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sojun Roshi, thank you for your talk. You were mentioning how much of the work that you're editing of Suzuki Roshi's is about don't be selfish.
Yes.
And what that made me think of is that how do we not be selfish, or how does one not be selfish when you're in some sort of emotional distress? You talked a little bit about despair. I know from working for a psychology publisher, some of the one or two of the books we've done, there's studies that show when people feel unsafe or unwell mentally, it narrows your ability to feel for others, connect with others, and it actually increases your self-focus, right? And I think I've at times experienced a little bit of that. So I wonder if you can speak of how to deal with that, how to escape that narrowing of self that can happen when you feel like you're in trouble.
Well, it would be good to have an example. Can you think of some example? Because otherwise it's kind of abstractness.
I'm trying to land on an example. Maybe this is a minor one, but maybe it will work. Just, I don't know if this quite lands on it, but I've found since the lockdown, just a little rising of my little narrowing of my patience, shortening of my patience, and a little rising of sort of grouchiness with my wife around the house. We're both working from home in a small apartment. And I can observe how I seem to be more strongly self-focused by default. So, and I try not to stay there, but I can feel the impulse to, or it sort of feels like a narrowing of vision or a narrowing of feeling, where I feel more stuck inside my own preferences and default positions, if that makes sense.
Yes, well, that's good. Just recognizing that is the beginning. And then realizing that, why is that happening? Or how can I broaden my mind? When we're confined, I don't know if you've ever saw that Japanese movie Woman in the Dunes, where these two people are trapped in a sand block, and there's no way to get out, because as they start to climb out of the sandbox, the sand just keeps, sliding back, and there's no way to get out. So this is the great koan. So when you have that feeling, just how do I deal with this koan? This is my koan. Realize that you're given the koan. It's just a gift koan. Instead of feeling trapped, you should feel that this is a gift. Go on for me. How do I deal with this? So you have a way to go. How do I actually let go of my self-centeredness? How can I let go of my self-centeredness and allow my mind to broaden to the situation? Actually, we don't like being confined. Confinement is how we actually learn something. Without confinement, you don't learn anything. This is why our practice, Zazen is the greatest confinement. you're just totally a pretzel. And how do you find your freedom within this confinement? We all have this gift of confinement. And if you see it as a trap, you get caught. That's called getting caught by it. So to drop body and mind. So it's like to let go of your confinement. Your confinement is simply in your mind. It's not, it's not the walls that are keeping you confined. It's your mind that's keeping you confined. And when we let go of the feeling that we're confined, we find our freedom. So it's good that these things are coming out. When you are training a dog, back to the dog, when you're training a dog, you want the dog to make mistakes so that you can train him. If the dog is not making mistakes, you can't train him. If he's not doing something that you don't want him to do, you can't train him. So you want him to do those things so that you can train him not to do those things. So everything is an opportunity. This is what practice is. Dropping body and mind means that everything is an opportunity. Instead of seeing it as an hindrance. Hindrances are opportunities. I know it's hard. You don't like
it. Next up, please, Kurt. I invite you to lower your hand and unmute yourself. And there are many questions, and our time is closing. So please, let's keep our questions brief.
Hello, Sojun Roshi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for the talk. As you were talking about, being present in your life with your experience, it came up for me that when I am present and sort of intimate with my experience, the thing that I notice that sometimes separates me or pulls me back from the world is my desire for things to be different or to be better or to want or a fear. And you talked about entering into things. Should I try to enter into my desire? Is that also being intimate? Being intimate with
desire is not good or bad,
What?
Desire is just desire.
Uh-huh.
Without desire, desire is a motivational tool. That desire is fire. Yeah, desire is fire. And so desire can be used in all kinds of ways. It can be used in an altruistic way. It can be used in a selfish way. It can be used, it's up to you how you want to deal with it or how you want to use it instead of it using you. When you are using desire, you are it's a tool. It becomes a tool for whatever you want it to be. When you're being used by desire, then you are captivated. So usually when we talk about desire, we talk about it as being captivated by it. It's manipulating you. But of course, it's just you manipulating yourself. So how to use desire, the way we use desire, for instance, is called putting your effort into practice. That's desire being used to further your practice of letting go of desire. You know, Buddhist practice is actually suicide. It's like where it's not really suicide, but it's like you're not killing your ego, but by controlling your ego. So how we use our ego instead of our ego using us. So who's in control? Who's the master? That's a big koan. That's a regulation koan. Who is the master or the mistress or whatever? Who's in charge? Is your ego in charge? Is your desire in charge? Or what?
Yeah.
Who's in charge?
Thank you, Sojun.
Sojun Roshi, we have a question from Kabir that's written down. He says, how can we remember to bring our attention to our breath in the storm of emotions?
Well, breath just goes on whether we like it or not. And so we have to have some discipline. And the discipline, if you say, I don't think about it. It's just there. Sometimes it's in the foreground and sometimes it's in the background. When I'm busy doing stuff, it's in the background. And when I'm not busy doing stuff, it's in the foreground. So whether it's in the foreground or the background, it's moment by moment. It's just there. We are being breathed. We're not breathing. And it's not a function of our will. We are being breathed rather than I am breathing. So it's the universe is breathing me. And if I want to touch the universe consciously, just come back to the breath. The breath is the universe which is informing you of itself. It's saying, I am you through breath. It's so wonderful. Why not? I mean, we should be thinking about it all the time. It's the most wonderful thing that we have is our breath. We don't have to think or emote or anything. It's just that this is, and because it's so obvious, we miss it. Truth is so obvious that we miss it. Reality is so obvious that we miss it. So enjoying our breath is life, is universal life. We sometimes don't realize that we are cosmic beings. That sounds like spaceships and stuff. No, we're cosmic beings. We are, the whole cosmos is breathing me. Isn't that wonderful? How do we tap into the universe? Through our breath.
One final question. I invite you, Joel, to lower your hand and unmute yourself and ask a final question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, sort of.
Hi, Sojun Roshi. You were talking about the rhythm of practice. And right now, with the situation, I find that I've gotten myself into this wonderful thing, and I'm working on negotiating the new rhythm, because with all the Zoom stuff, whereas before all this, here in Santa Barbara, I go Sunday morning and I do my daily practice. And now I was counting 5 different Zen Zoom things, all of which are wonderful. And trying to do Tai Chi, which is wonderful. And of course, I'm doing my music, which is wonderful. But there's definitely a tension that happens because, it happens, you'll tell me, because I want to compose and it's going really well. And then I have a Zen thing. And so I do the Zen thing. And the Zen thing is wonderful. But the transition is a tense thing. And my mind goes fast during that time. So any help you can give me, that would be great.
Well, don't be greedy.
Yes. That sounds like good advice to me.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Nice to hear you, Joel.
Great to see you, man.
All right. So, Sojun, that's it. Would you final remark? Final remark?
What's your name has a hand up?
Yes. Okay. Linda? Is that it? Feel free to call on somebody.
Carol Paul.
Carol Paul has her hand up.
Okay, Carol.
No? Oh, I thought you were waving. Okay.
No. Okay.
So my parting word is given our separation and our inability to be in the Zendo and all that, when I'm practicing with myself in my space, I am always practicing with you at the same time. And if we all realize that we're practicing with each other, even though we're separated, that works. I don't need to tune in when everybody's sitting with Zazen or all that. Just realizing that my practice is harmonizing with your practice is enough, without even knowing what you're doing exactly. But I know that we're all making a big effort to practice, given our situation, and that our koan is right there in our hermitage, moment by moment. Ginjo koan. Practice of everyday life as each moment arises, each situation arises, koan. The koan being, how do we harmonize the cosmos with our daily, with washing the dishes? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We will do the Bodhisattva vows one time through. Please use your eyes and ears to be in harmony with everybody. Gary?
Thank you for conducting this.
Beings numberless, I vow to awaken them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them.
Dharma
gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's ways unsurpassable. I vow to become it.
Okay. Next time we'll pick out somebody to follow.